Hey, how's it going, y'all? It's Cavell Anderson, and we are back with some more amazing content. So we have another interview with ALFRED Kahn, the Ecomi head of licensing, and we're going to be seeing what they're talking about in this interview, which is going to jump straight into it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to drop that thumbs up and subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot of Ecomi content, VEVE, and other crypto in the future and things like that. But yeah, I'm really big on Ecomi right now, so I wanted to see what the community is talking about. Kind of like here you can find on this channel just a bunch of different content related to Ecomi and the rise of this coin, this crypto, because this is going to be huge in my opinion. But let's jump into it. Let's see what he's talking about. I think he's a genius. He's a visionary for sure. So let me see. What were you doing before you got into licensing, and how did that career path develop?
I was working as a toy buyer.
Oh, and also, I don't think I said it. This video was uploaded a year ago. So the one that we did last time was from 2-3 years ago. This one is from like a year ago. So this is a little bit more recent. They've interviewed him more recently since the last one that we saw. But yeah, so this is more new.
Major department store chain. And I realized that so much of what we would be doing in terms of toys looked like it would be coming from licensing. It sounds strange today because today everything's from licensing. But then there was not that many licenses. So I started out, like I said, into buying toys. Then I went to work for a toy company, which was called Coleco, and started to use what I believed was the appropriate licenses to develop a number of products for Coleco. And again, at that time there weren't a lot of big licenses, but we found one that was called Smurfs, and Smurfs became huge, and Coleco had the rights to that. We also looked at Strawberry Shortcake at that time and licensed that. We also looked at a lot of the television shows that were on television, like Happy Days or these comedies. So that showed me that this whole area in kids business was going to be influenced by licensing for a long time.
He's a licensed guy.
When I left, Coleco, I started my own licensing company, which was 4Kids Entertainment, with the idea of developing more and more properties for children.
Talk about some challenges you have faced in your career. Bro, he's a licensed genius, man.
Is that when you bring things new in, people don't necessarily embrace them. They're concerned about them. They're not sure if they're going to work. So it's very hard to establish sometimes something that's brand new. I mean, Cabbage Patch Kids, no one wanted that when we first started to show that at Coleco. They always thought it was crazy. One-of-a-kind dolls, they were expensive. They thought they were ugly, so there was a whole litany of backlash to that. So obviously it took us, have had strong marketing to go directly to the consumer so that the consumer would see that this was something, and the consumer voted that this was incredible. I mean, when I found Pocket Monsters in Japan, and I brought that out, changed the name to Pokemon, again, there was very little anime at that time that had been in this country. People didn't like the quality of the animation, they didn't understand the stories, so it took us quite a while, it took us 2 years to really get some traction on Pokemon. And then of course it became, obviously now it's still the #1 license in the world.
So, that being said, from what I'm picking up on here is that anytime this guy's in an interview, anytime he speaks, eventually he brings up Pokemon. So when people say that it's still just speculation if it's coming to the VEVE app, technically it is. But every other word out this man's mouth is Pokemon. Like, come on, he gets all these other amazing licenses, and he's not going to get the one he's most famous for, most known for, the biggest thing that he's probably accomplished. Not saying that anything else that he's ever done is small, but it's just Pokemon is that big that it overshadows a lot. Yeah, I'm very confident that we'll be seeing Pokemon in there. I'm just saying.
So,
This is 2 interviews in a row, by the way, two years apart from each other. So that's another thing.
Anytime there's something new, it's challenging because the buyers and the retailers, they look at things they know, and they're not anxious to take chances in new things. So that's similarly today. There's so many things that we're wanting to do that are new that will require us to be clever because the old hierarchy won't necessarily want to embrace some of these new things.
I'll work out. It's an interesting question.
Oh, with every hit, you have a couple of misses. There's no question. And I think I had this idea, which I thought was going to be brilliant. If Cabbage Patch Kids worked as dolls, why couldn't we make them collectible fashion dolls like Barbie? So we ended up developing a whole line of 11.5-inch dolls that we made the sculpt to look like real kids. So some of the kids were beautiful, some of them were, not so beautiful. But the idea was that we called it the class of. The idea being that every year there'd be a new class, and the kids could collect their favorite members of the class. And so there were athletes, and there were cheerleaders, and there were all kinds of things. We thought this was the greatest thing we ever thought of, and we showed it to kids. We do disaster checks. We like to take things to kids and show it to them, not because we're looking to see if they like it, but they wanted to know whether or not they hated it, because that's the problem. You never know, even if they like it, will they buy it? You don't know, because you're researching it a year or 2 out. So we showed them this, and they hated it. They thought this was the stupidest idea they ever saw. And it's funny, when you start to probe them for why they didn't like it, well, they didn't like anything that wasn't beautiful. So the characters that were beautiful, like the beautiful blonde or the beautiful athlete, but the kids with braces or the kids that were a little heavy, at that time, they said, no, we're not going to play with those kids.
Wow. That makes sense, actually.
Well, I think, first of all, David, who's the founder, I've known for a long time. He was our licensee, our distributor for Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards in Australia and New Zealand. And, his passion for collecting, in my mind, was, extraordinary. And I felt that the timing for a digital collectible was absolutely coming, because now it was not unusual for people to be collecting digital things, whether it be music, whether it be movies.
So one of the draws that got him into Ecomi started with a Pokemon relationship. And then he's talking about collectibles. What's one of the most known collectibles in the world? The Pokemon trading cards. I'm just saying, listen, I'm sold.
Or whatever it might be. And also you think about things like Crypto Kitty was starting to come up. You saw that, which went for so much money, and you think about it, it looks like nothing. So I felt that if we did the right thing relative to what these collectibles were, that this could be something very, very exciting. So when David approached me about the idea of joining Ecomi, I was, excited once I heard about what they were thinking about, and I felt that I could add some flavor text to that because of what licenses we might be able to acquire, but also what I believe was important in terms of the digital universe. So with that in mind, I decided to come on board.
He was the perfect man for the job too.
I think you have multiple channels that you can garner. I think you should, it's the old story, you should be every place where the consumer is, you follow? Obviously, online and direct to consumer is the game, because obviously you're going to be selling your digital assets vis-a-vis apps that the consumer can tie into. But doesn't mean you can't have products available at every mass market retailer, which is a card that can store your digital assets. So that card could be sold at any place. For instance, think about Apple cards. Think about when you walk into every store on the planet, they sell Apple gift cards. Yet Apple by itself is a digital environment. You like to market to every subset. And whether that subset is online, or whether that's subsets at retail. We have something for everybody, but the idea is to get as much exposure as you can. The other side of it is we need influencers who people of that age demography really look at, and people start to realize that they want to be part of this universe. So you do that by making it as exclusive as you can up front, by bringing in people, short individual groups, and more of the people that are anxious to get involved because they see that other people have really embraced it. So it's going to be a lot of peer pressure. It's going to be also a value story where people realize that some of these assets can become very valuable over time. It's taken collecting to a whole new open-ended universe. Look, eBay is starting a digital collectibles space. They wouldn't be doing it if they didn't feel this is going to be something valuable. No one is near what we're doing. We're going to be the first ones really in. Doesn't mean there'll be other people that'll be involved, but again, like anything else, we'll be first in, we'll establish a baseline, and then people will have to follow us. I really believe, and of all the things I've done, I remember when I first started with video games, again, digital universe, right? We started video games that was brand new. And yet, look what happened. And even today, video games are bigger than they've ever been. I mean, whether it be mobile games or whether it be console games. And the interesting caveat, the thing that's really happening, everything's a digital delivery system. Whether it be movies, whether it be television. Remember the CDs, remember VHS tapes. Those things are gone. And yet you realize that a digital delivery is so much more effective and so much more logical relative to how to get people to enjoy your products. I also think there's a lot more to this digital universe than just what we're talking about. We have ideas going forward that I'm not going to expose today, but they're really amazingly exciting. Anything new is sometimes treated as being something that has to be proven. So there's a lot of, necessarily, some cases, ambiguity when they see something that's brand new and they don't know really what to do with it. They don't know where to put it, how they should handle it. And I think licensors in this area are incredibly interested, no question, and they're incredibly fascinated. And I think there's a lot of internal machinations that go on in these companies as to what group should handle digital collectibles, or is it a video game group? Is it a traditional licensing group? So I think part of it's not necessarily us; it's actually possibly some of the licensors who have to determine who handles it and what they believe is important about it and how it's going to be, put inside what has generally been a physical universe. So you have to figure out how that sort of migrates out.
Let's see some of his collectibles.
I've always been interested. This is going to sound very, very self-serving a little bit. I'm always interested in collecting things that I had something to do with. I don't know.
Makes sense. I'm the same way.
I always have been interested. Also, first of all, I'm interested in art. I'm interested in history. So things that have historical references, I really find fascinating. I'm interested in things that come from outer space. I'm interested in dinosaurs. I'm interested in things of that ilk, which are really unique unto themselves. But I also then, sometimes I also like to look at things like I used to own Charlie Chan, which was a very famous movies in the 30s. And I went out and always looking for Charlie Chan comic books and Charlie Chan this and Charlie Chan that, because of the idea that we had this ability to do something with it. But I love things that really are unique. I love things that are really different, that people would find interesting. I have a lot of Cabbage Patch Kids, because why? Because we did it, but I really love the idea of things that are that have their timelessness in terms of their interests. They teach you something about where this planet was about or about history.
That's an amazing perspective, man. That's amazing, yo. So yeah, there was a lot of information and details in this interview. I definitely loved it. Let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments section. One of the biggest things I took away from this personally, anything that builds my hype up. I excite myself, to be honest, when I'm watching a lot of this content. So for me, it was the fact that he wouldn't be involved in VEVE if it wasn't for Pokemon. So I'm just saying, like that was the biggest takeaway for me. It's like, oh, this relationship was built because of Pokemon, huh? Okay, that tells me a lot. So I'm not going to believe you have 100 other brands, and the brand that's with you in every interview, the brand that got you into this, like, I'm not going to believe that that's not going to be involved at some point. So while a lot of people want hard evidence, hard proof, they want it in the white papers, they like, while I understand that and the need to have that, I think that the true people who gain success is the people who can see things that's obvious before it becomes obvious. Before it has to be put on a piece of paper right in front of your face like this. If you see it, it's much more valuable then, because once it's on that piece of paper in front of your face, everyone sees it then. So it's like, is it still valuable? No, it's not. It's not that valuable anymore. You're just one of the many people who see this on paper and now like, oh, this is worth investing in because now I know for sure. I think every big thing in life comes with a little bit of risk. So I'm risking to believe in this huge partnership. But, I mean, there's a lot of other ones, big ones that are confirmed. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'm going to catch you all on the next one. Peace out.